What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another exciting episode. A little surprise show that we announced earlier last week. Talking Tech with Andrew B. As you guys probably know, some of the most important, if not the most important thing that a streamer can have is going to be his streaming equipment, his computer, his hardware, all that good stuff. And for those who are unfamiliar with the show, you may have realized, or you may not have realized, that I'm pretty computer illiterate when it comes to most things. My editing's very basic, so I definitely appreciate everybody tuning in. It is a work in progress that we have been at for only about half a year now, so I definitely appreciate everybody tuning in and really helping build the show. And that includes Mr. Andrew B. He has been into several shows. I've seen him in the chat. He has left a tip or two, so we definitely appreciate that. And I thought tonight would be a great chance to go ahead and let the audience know what all their tips are going to be going towards, unless otherwise specified, of course. But if it's not, this is what it's all going to be going towards, because the most important thing I feel is going to be providing a better show for you all. And that includes the choppiness, the latency, all this good stuff. I don't even really know what a lot of the computer words mean. So that's why we have our friend Andrew B, who's going to be coming on here in just a moment. Now, a lot of you may be wondering what in the heck happened last night. The True Earth debates is the bread and butter. That's what a lot of people come to see. And unfortunately, there was a little bit of a hiccup. And so I'm going to go ahead and share that with you all here in just a moment. Let's hope my computer don't freeze.
And I'm here, by the way.
Excellent. Andrew, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
Give me just one moment. I'll go ahead and bring on your visual.
All right. I will share screen. Oh, you can go ahead and continue talking.
Oh, yeah, no worries at
what
all.
You were just saying.
I'll
share my screen right now for now.
I was just bringing up this TikTok mayhem. If you look here, you can see we had a nice 3.5-hour debate that got pretty spicy, actually early on, and as a result, it got community guidelines struck. So they won't let me download it. They won't let me play it. And that is how we do the rewatch party. A lot of people have asked me why I don't just screen record, and the reason why is that the download time from that to the computer for me is stunningly long. It's ridiculous. I would be lucky to get it to you guys on time. Filming it the night before at that. So pretty wild that they can do that. And so just to kind of let you guys what I think happened, because I clicked on it, I tried to figure out exactly what it is, and kind of like YouTube, it doesn't really tell you. It just says community guidelines strike. So, but what I feel happened is there was at one point a gentleman who came on who made some really wild accusations. I'm not going to repeat them because I don't want the YouTube side to get struck just in case. But basically somebody came on and made a few accusations that were pretty distasteful, regardless of what position you take. And me being a good sport, I actually let the person whose the accusations were about on to go ahead and explain themselves or defend themselves or whatever. And man, you really should have been there, because the guy who made the accusations, in my opinion, just kind of crumbled. He said he had this evidence and that he provided nothing, and then just kind of absolutely folded. And it was kind of embarrassing, but at the same time, if in the True Earth debate, there's really no room for character attacks anyway. We can go ahead and attack the argument at its face. And nothing wrong with some friendly banter, of course, but I think that was a little too far. But anyway, that's what you can expect if you go to the live True Earth debates on Tuesday night, usually at 10 to 10:30. We'll go ahead and kick those off. They can go pretty long. and you never know what you're gonna get on there. So, no guarantee I'll always be able to do the rewatch party with you guys, as I'm finding out. At least until I find another way to capture it while I'm doing the stream. Right now, it's limited to my phone if I want to accept guests. So you're gonna have to bear with me on that. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get our main guy here. Man, that thing just switches every time I try to do it. No problem. Getting quicker at this every single time. All right. Nope, not that one. Boom. That one. All right. Andrew, are you ready to hop on? Let me get your screen share up.
I'm here. Yep.
All righty. Let me go ahead and slide you on over. All righty. You are on the show. At least your screen is. And I think that's probably good enough. But if you can go ahead and explain what we got going on here, and if you have any plugs or anything that you want to do as well, feel free to fire away. By the way, if you're about to enjoy this show without a bag of True Smacks, of course you know that you are doing it absolutely wrong. Go ahead and go to TrueSmacks.com. They are a great, delicious organic snack, and they are limited time. So go ahead and pick them up. And while you're there, check out their resource page to check out all kinds of links on experiments, on the true Earth cosmology, germ theory, crypto, and more. Don't take my word for it. Go check it out. Andrew, go ahead, buddy.
All right. So when it comes to building a computer, which I completely recommend everyone do, obviously you can just go on any website like Amazon or whatever, Best Buy, or even on this website, Newegg. This is the place I recommend to go to if you're going to be buying anything that has to do with computer components, systems, peripherals. They have all. If you look on the left-hand side here, they have all kinds of stuff that they sell. But if you're looking for the absolute best deal when it comes to computer components, this is the place to go to. Okay, so I've built many computers on my own, and it's going to save you a lot of money if you actually build it on your own versus having someone else just pre-build it for you and then send it to you, which I also don't recommend because, I wouldn't want a computer being shipped through the mail like that. It's not a good idea because I did that once and it came back damaged to the point where it was almost unusable.
Yeah, it seems pretty risky.
So, we're going to so Newegg for electronics, and it's anyways, I'm not going to go into all the details about the website. So we can actually just go to the top right here where it says PC Builder. You can just click on that. And then it gives you these different things at the beginning that you can just pretty much pre-build yourself. Or you can come down here and look at these different things that are inside of the computer and part of the computer. And by the way, this is for a PC, not for Apple. I think they sell Apple stuff on here, but I haven't really checked because I don't use Apple anymore. Anyways, so there's these different components that are inside of a computer. So the CPU is the central processing unit. That is the brain of the computer. And I have my my dryer on right now. Hopefully that's not creating a background noise or something. But anyways, so we have the CPU. Then we have the motherboard. Okay, so these two things are really, really, really important for the computer. The motherboard, nothing will work in the computer if you don't have a motherboard. Everything plugs into the motherboard. Okay, so I'm just going over this kind of quickly right now. The memory, this is called your RAM, which is random access memory. That is something that is different, but is similar to your storage. This is like your hard drives. Okay, so memory and storage are very, very similar. However, the storage, I'll get to that. So the memory doesn't work unless the computer is turned on and powered up. After the computer is powered down, all of the RAM memory goes away. Then you have your video card. Now, video cards, I could go over for quite a while, but I'm going to try and keep this as quick and concise as possible. A lot of motherboards actually have onboard video, meaning that you don't need a video card. But that's not going to be very good. You're not going to be able to stream very well with it. You're going to get a lot of lag and latency. It's not recommended. So getting yourself a nice video card is very important. The case. Now, you actually don't need a case. I recommend doing it, but you can actually just build a motherboard with all the components on it, and you can install it on a desk, for example, and you can make a computer work like that. But the benefit to a case is that you're going to be able to have a lot of different options to work with when it comes to installing more hard drives. I'm sorry?
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I heard some feedback there for a moment. Getting yourself a nice case is really good because you can also install a cooling system with it, and I'll talk about that later on, which is down here, CPU cooler. And your power supply. This is actually one of the most underrated parts of the computer because it requires a certain amount. Your computer is going to require a certain amount of power, and this is just, if you use Ohm's law, you can figure this out pretty quickly. I know that's a little more complicated than people want to hear about right now, but your power supply is very, very critical when it comes to supplying power to the motherboard, which supplies power to everything else. Well, sort of. Some things plug directly into the power supply. I know this is a little bit complicated, and feel free to interrupt me at any point and ask any questions. I'm not looking at chat right now. I'm just going over this. So
No, so far so good. I mean, you're
okay,
just
so you have your power supply.
Yeah, it's pretty smooth. Power supply operates.
Okay. All right, and then we have.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, you're all right.
Okay, so then we have this thing called storage. So the storage is your hard drive. There are two different types of hard drives that you can buy. You can buy an SSD, which is a solid state drive. Those are the real small ones. It's like the ones that they use in cell phones now. And you can also get yourself a hard disk drive, so an HDD. And I recommend having both in a computer because every computer I've built ever since I learned how to do this, that's what I've been using. And there's a very specific reason as to why. CPU cooler. So there are three different types of CPU coolers. Well, there's the two main types. There's the air cool, like with fans, and then there's also the liquid cool that works like a radiator in a car. I've used both, but the CPU. Okay, I'll go over that later on. The operating system. So right now, the most up-to-date version of an operating system for a PC is Windows 11. I have Windows 10 right now. It seems to work just fine, but I'm having to go through these updates nonstop. Windows 10 is about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old, something like that.
Right.
So it's still a workable operating system, but the problem is Windows, after a certain time, they will discontinue maintenance of certain operating systems. For example, Windows 95 is not supported by Microsoft anymore. Windows 98 is not supported by Microsoft anymore. I think Windows 7 also may not even be supported by Microsoft. So when you get your operating system, you want to make sure that you get one that's kind of new. Like Windows 10 is perfect for me. Doesn't matter. Windows 11 is a new system. It's almost identical to Windows 10. I just haven't upgraded yet. So anyways, so on this website, if you're going to be looking for components for a PC, so this is really cool because they actually have these videos here on the right-hand side of the screen. So you can actually just watch these. I'm not going to play them right now because that would just be tedious. But they're about 15 to 20 minutes long each, roughly. So here's the biggest thing you have to consider when it comes to building a PC. You have to think about what you're going to use it for. Now, when it comes to like a laptop, for example, which I hate laptops. They overheat. They don't last very long. I went through like 3 of them, and I'll never buy a laptop again. So, and they also have limited capability. So having a tower like up here, an actual, cooling case and stuff like that, that's what I recommend. And anyone that's going to be doing streaming, video editing, gaming, if you're going to be working with anything like any hardcore type of software like AutoCAD and different art software, video editing software, you're going to want to get yourself an actual tower. Okay.
Yeah, as of right now.
And the tower, by the way, I know this might sound a little bit scary at the beginning, but I would recommend.
I was just gonna say my experience right now has been absolutely abysmal. It is with the Lenovo IdeaPad 110. It is a laptop that is absolutely horrid, slow, choppy. I've done a whole bunch of cleanup on it, and it works. It's definitely usable. Where I think the stream right now is pretty watchable, but it's like my 10th laptop. So I definitely see what you mean.
Ouch. All right, so the computer that I'm currently on right now is about 5 years old. And when I built it, no, it's actually like 6 years old now, I think. So when I built it, I bought the absolute best components that were out there. And I built it myself. I put it together. Worked absolutely perfect. Have never had a problem with it. And I've never upgraded any component in it. But the cool thing about having a desktop computer, actually I have 2 of them. I have one in my bedroom and I have one out here. Anyways, the cool thing about having a desktop, like a tower, versus a laptop or a tablet, is that you can upgrade it, you can clean it, and you can just basically just maintain it. You can't do that with laptops. I mean, you can a little bit, but not as much, not even close.
I can replace the battery.
And a desktop will always be faster. What's that?
I said I can replace the battery.
Well, if you actually take apart a laptop, you can replace different components in it, but it's going to be very, very difficult if you're not aware of how to do it. Anyways, with building a desktop computer, if you learn how to build a desktop computer, a laptop's going to be easy to figure out, but you'll understand it. Okay, so I'm going to say this. I think a reasonable price just for the tower alone, that is including all of this stuff here, all 9 different components here, is about $2,500 if you want a computer that's going to last. When I spent about 6 years ago, whatever I said, I spent about $3,500 on my computer at the time. Wow. So I could have spent actually more if I wanted to, but $2,500 is going to get you a working, long-lasting computer that's going to be able to do lots of different things for you. So step number 1. The other thing about this website here is so we see this different part, but you can go down a little bit further. And then there's these frequently asked questions. And they have a lot of different recommendations. These are actually recommended. I recommend everybody read these before you even start to attempt to build your own computer. And building it is actually not that difficult. It's a learning process. I can build one in about an hour and a half with all the boxes. I can rip open the boxes, put it together. I could be done in about an hour and a half. The first time I did it, it took me about 7 hours because I didn't know what I was doing. I was going online, looking at videos and stuff, and had to kind of figure it out.
Me and my friend, it took
So,
us 4 hours
the
just
first
to build
thing,
a basketball hoop. So this is gonna be fun.
yeah, that reminds me of the first time I built a trampoline. It seems so simple.
Yeah, till you get to the last 10 springs.
All right, so yeah, exactly. So building a PC is a lot harder than a trampoline, but it's a lot more informative because I don't give a flying fuck about trampolines. I do care about computers though. So when it comes to, so let's go back. I'll show you what I was clicking on. So CPU, your central processing unit. This is called the brain of the computer. These things are very small. They're about the size of like a saltine cracker. Actually, they're a little bit smaller than that, I think. So, anyways, there are two main companies that make CPUs. If you see right here on the screen, I mean, there might be some other company like over in China that makes something just for them, but the two main companies I've ever heard of are AMD and then Intel. Okay, so AMD, by the way, it just stands for Advanced Micro Devices. That's all that AMD stands for. That's just their company name. And then we have Intel, which is Intel. So why would one person want to choose one over the other? I've used both. I'll tell you this. AMD is faster by quite a bit. There's something called overclocking that works very well with AMD processors. So AMD is faster, but they're not as efficient. And they also use a lot more power, but they are really, really fast. Then you have Intel, which is the one I recommend. So Intel currently, like if I just click on this one, for example, that's not a very good screen share. Yeah, okay. So I'm trying to find where it says it. Okay, anyways, it's kind of small on the screen, I suppose. But you can just see it where it says, whoops, Intel Core i9. All right, so what does that mean exactly? So i9 is the newest version of the Intel processing series. Okay, AMD doesn't exactly go along with that same kind of branding. So they just call their processors different things. For example, this one right here, this is the AMD Ryzen. So they don't call it an i9, they call it the AMD Ryzen. So this is like their little brand. It's sort of like saying the Toyota Corolla, for example. It's just
Gotcha.
their thing. So if you're going to be building a computer, I recommend sticking to all of either AMD or Intel. It's a very, very good idea to do that. Any questions so far?
No, so far it's making sense. Yeah, I could definitely see why you'd want to do an Intel over the AMD, but um, if you're, if for some reason you just want to overclock the hell out of it, then just up your power source.
Yeah, in my experience, there's no reason to overclock. Computers are so fast now, overclocking is pretty much irrelevant. Unless you're doing something that's outside of my spectrum of knowledge. Like even if you want to have like 45 tabs open right now, like I do, I have like at least 3 pieces of software that are currently running in the background, and I have no issues. But anyways, when it comes to these different components here, these different, and by the way, I do recommend Intel. I was an AMD fan for a long time, but then I noticed that the computer was overheating. It was causing the fans to turn on a lot to try and cool down the processor, the inside of the computer. My electric bill was going up, so I built a brand new computer and made it all Intel. I recommend that. So on the right-hand side here, you see that there's these different prices on this, and I'm going to get to the prices later on because there's this website. Actually, I'll do it right now just for an example. So there's this website called Passmark. So Passmark it's just passmark.com. And then what you can do is you can go to this thing called benchmarks. CPU benchmarks. All right, are you seeing that? I switched tabs. I'm not sure.
No, it hasn't switched.
Oh crap. Let me go to
While you're pulling that up, I'll go ahead and do a
I'll
shameless
just do the entire
plug.
screen.
Everybody make sure that if you've not already, that you go and download the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app by Blue Water Bay. There you can find all kinds of videos and resources that bypass the Google and YouTube algorithms. And you also show some support to the Flat Earth community. So definitely go and check that out. You can use the friend finder to find not only myself, but Mellow Dome, KC Industries from TikTok, and a whole bunch of others. So definitely go and check that out. Alrighty, I see you there. Just let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, anytime.
Alrighty, boom.
Okay. So there's this website called Passmark. I know there's a little bit of a delay. I'm trying to watch it on my phone at the same time to make sure that my screen is actually sharing
Yeah, it
properly.
is. We see the definitive stress test.
Doesn't seem to.
Oh, your audio's cutting a bit.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So if you want to buy something, so if you're going to buy a computer component, how would you know how good it is? Are you just going to go into the reviews and look at what people say, which I totally recommend? You have to do that because some people are going to say secondary. So you go to this thing called benchmarks. Okay, I already have it open right here. Okay, so CPU benchmarks. We'll go to high-end CPU benchmarks. So what health? I've actually had my. I'm actually,
You
it's
cut
kind of
out quite a
complicated.
bit. You cut out quite a
You
bit
can look
there.
up all these different CPUs that are available. I wonder why.
You're good now.
All right, well, I'm gonna keep talking until. Okay, I'll start over. Okay, so there are these CPUs. There's all these different ones. On the right-hand side, it says their price, and it has this little number right here. So this one is 94,571. That's really, really high end. So CPU. But that doesn't matter because this is somewhere down here, like in the $12. But these are still in the top end of what CPUs are. So you can actually buy a CPU that's like even further down if you wanted to. So looking at the proctor with how you build your computer, because obviously if you wanted to spend $45,000 on a computer, you could buy some of these high-end, the price over time. But it doesn't matter. You can still buy a CPU or any other, still going to work fine, because computers, it was Ray Kurzweil, I think, was talking about, he has this theory that every 6 months computer speeds double, and it's going to continue to double. It goes into like an artificial intelligence kind of conversation, but so computers that are like brand new, like this, or components that are brand new, are going to be very expensive, but they go down in price because they get leftover stock that couldn't be sold before. So anyways, if you're looking at components to buy, you can go here to Passmark. Now, there's also video card benchmarks. And by the way, what is a benchmark exactly? So what they do is they have on this website, it's called, and this is going to make your computer like basically use every single bit of power that it has, and it's going to launch a video for you to watch and listen to, and it tests your computer. You're going to hear your computer is going to scream for a little bit. Components you have, and then it gives it a score, and that score is called a benchmark. So every component is compared versus other components that were used before. So that's basically what a benchmark is. So again, we can go to video cards, just go to high end, and there we go. We have these new video cards that are out. Now, video cards were really, really expensive about a year ago, and they've been dropping in price for some reason. I'm not sure why. When I bought a video card, I spent $800 on it. And that was a video card that's like way down here somewhere. I'm not even sure where it is. But my video card, still, I can run any video I want in 4K, 8K, whatever. So video cards are very, very important. But you don't have to spend an arm and a leg buying one. Not anymore. I'll get to that later on. And then there's also, for the benchmarks, there's RAM, video cards, hard drives. Okay. There are these different components that are benchmarked. All right. Going back to the custom PC builder here. Okay. So let's just go ahead and say that as an example, I'm not telling you what to buy. You look at these different components and they say, oh, this Intel i9 has a 24-core processor. Interesting. This other one has a 16-core processor. I'm not going to go over all the specifications to this. 16-core or 24-core?
You kind of cut out again.
Does it really matter? Yeah, it does a little bit. So look at the one that is mostly in your price. So let's just say this one right here. I'll select it. Sorry, this is the last time I was here, I didn't do this.
It's all good.
All right. Anyway, so so then from there, all right. So you've chosen the brain of your computer. What's the next step? Well, it kind of actually just gave you a little tip right there.
It's gonna be the power supply, right?
All right, sorry. Nope, the motherboard.
Ah, I was close.
The next thing is your motherboards. And the reason that you want to choose your CPU first is because, well, you can actually choose the motherboard first if you want to. But the CPU has a certain number of pin. Oh, excuse me. So your CPU has to be able to fit into the motherboard because it has a certain number of these little tiny little pins, like these bronze and copper, whatever material they are, these little pins. And every CPU has a certain way it's going to go into that socket for the motherboard. So you have to choose that. So if I go back, choose your CPU. Next part. What the hell? I'm not sure. Motherboard. This is the part of the computer that your RAM plugs into, your motherboard. I'm sorry, your RAM, your CPU, your graphics card, um, any peripherals like a network card, things like that. So your motherboard is the big part of the computer. I would recommend not at all to be cheap when it comes to a motherboard. You want a very good motherboard. So, which brand now? I was discussing that we have two different types of CPUs, which are AMD and Intel. However, when you come to motherboards, you're going to come to lots of different brands that are available. So, for example, this one right here, this is an Asus, which I recommend. That's what I use. Asus, ASUS, which is Asus ROG Strix. I'm not saying this particular motherboard, even though it's probably pretty good. Asus is a go-to brand when it comes to motherboards and other components. So that's what I recommend. However, some people swear by MSI, which apparently is what the military uses for their computers. There are other brands of motherboards that are out there. ASRock, MSI, Gigabyte. I don't like Gigabyte at all. Anyways, there's a lot of different brands of motherboards or companies that make motherboards. When it comes to getting a motherboard, I would recommend spending at least $300 on them because you can get a really cheap, like old motherboard, but the components are not going to match up. Very, very sad. And the other thing too is if your motherboard fails, your operating, so you have to buy a new operating system. Like Windows is like, oh, oh, you run, but that's how computers work.
My
All right,
goodness.
going back, and I know this teach people exactly how to do it, but it's just a general understanding as to what these things are. All right, your memory. Okay, this is also called your RAM. Once again, we can go to Passmark and we can go to benchmarks, go to RAM benchmarks. I always go to the fastest ones you can. So there's this thing called DDR. I'm not going to try and explain to you what that means. So you have to make sure that the DDR, or sorry, the RAM that you're getting, I would recommend, highly recommend DDR5. It's the newest one. So top read, DDR, 1,407 megabytes per second. That means it's really, really fast. Well, it's important because when the computers turn, the hard drive for storage and retrieval of information, but the RAM is used I recommend add a 4 gigs if you want, but that gets a little excessive. So actually, at a bare minimum, 16 gigs, 16 gigabytes. So right here, like this one at the top, Corsair. And by the way, Corsair is also a very awesome brand for building a computer. So if you have to use anything Corsair, they're trustworthy. I have Corsair components in both of my computers. Not going to go into all the details as to what all this means. That's going to be like a different time. Okay, so when you're looking at these different brands here, you have to make sure that these particular pieces of RAM will actually fit into the motherboard. Because if you look at it real close, I'll try and pull it up in a. Okay, right here. This is the G-Skill Ripjaws V, whatever it's called. And that's only DDR4, by the way. Which, anyways, DDR4 is also good. But when you're looking at this, at the very bottom piece of the RAM, you see all these copper pieces of these little strips. Those are actually pins. And there's a different amount on each side. So there's a little slot in the middle. There's a little blank spot right there. So when you put the RAM into the motherboard, that happens because motherboards, there's something called a chipset. I don't want to. So basically, a chipset means that these components are going to fit into the motherboard. They all work together. You have to have your RAM actually fit into the motherboard. So when you actually go onto Newegg and you want to look for a component, they're going to tell you that that particular CPU, that type of RAM, or the motherboard first, then working from there.
Makes sense. Now,
And that's a little bit of an issue.
I do just want to say,
Maybe a year and a half.
It's just to notate,
Go ahead.
because you are cutting out just a little bit, but I have a feeling it's on my end, not necessarily on your end. I think I have between the stream and the restream, it's a bit hard on my computer, but that is exactly what we are doing this for. That is the whole point, because if we get this, this updated, then this won't happen, and we can do all kinds of screen sharing,
All right,
streaming, and all kinds of great stuff. So I definitely appreciate you coming.
Well, don't worry, I'm gonna toss you a little bit of love today on Rokfin in a moment when I get a chance. And by the way, yeah, everyone that's here listening, if you tip on YouTube, they get 30% of it, right?
Yeah,
So,
I don't even have it. I actually don't even have it turned on YouTube. You can go to.
Want to give him?
You can go to the Rokfin, or you can go to Buy Me a Coffee.
He only gets 7. So just be aware of that.
It's true. But yeah, I definitely appreciate everybody who does pitch in, because it definitely literally helps build the show.
Buy Me a Coffee, don't they take a certain amount, like 10%?
I don't even know. I didn't see that they took anything. I started it because I saw on Karen B's channel.
I'm not cutting out very much.
No, you're cutting out. It's fine. It's just the delay at this point. We're playing a little bit of tag, trying to catch up. But I'm gonna go ahead and shut up and let you carry on, because this has been really, really informative, and I'm taking mental notes. And part of the reason why I'm live streaming this is so that I can go back and rewatch it when need be.
Was actually gonna say that. So hopefully, this is making sense so far. This is just a crash course. Remember, I'm not trying to show you all of the details about every single thing about every component. Just trying to show you what the components are, what they do essentially, and why you should spend a certain amount of money on certain components. So, that being said, let's go to Passmark again. Let's go to benchmarks, video card benchmarks. Oh, actually, I already had that open. Let me close that tab, close that tab. Okay, so it was about, I don't know, a year and a half ago or so. Jaron was having a whole bunch of issues with his computer, and it kept crashing, and it was just an old computer. So what he ended up doing was kind of getting people to help fund getting him a new computer. And what he ended up getting, I don't know who it was, someone donated a very expensive GPU, which is your graphics processing unit, your graphics card. And the one that he said that he got was, I think it was that, because I don't know exactly. But when you look at the price right now, it's $1,099. It was like $3,000 to $4,000. That's what the price was.
Wow.
So buy at the time. It has dropped by quite a bit. So in this top range. So even if you click on one of these, like the best one stats on it, oh, look at that. There's these 3 different places that sell it. Newegg, which is the website right here that I've been using, is actually selling it. So, and now don't take any notice to that. The video card not available? No, they are available. Anyways, so you have your graphics card. Now, if you're doing a whole bunch of really heavy duty editing and stuff, then you're going to want a pretty good one. But you can actually get a graphics card on Passmark, or actually, I'll go back. Well, it's still loading. You can go down and get some of these graphics cards just looking at the price. Look at the price and look at the benchmark. And then also, when you're on Newegg, look at the reviews. Like a graphics card like this, the 4070 Ti, 3-star review, only people, MSI. When it comes to a graphics card, the best brand, we're thinking a little bit weird to think about. So there's this thing called GeForce, the company. I can just click on that, and hopefully it's showing this properly. Okay, powered by GeForce. That is the brand of graphics card to buy. But it's actually not the complete brand. They do the build for it, and then a separate company like Asus can come along, and they can do a lot of the software and programming. It's kind of weird how these things work. So I recommend, if you're going to buy a GPU, is to get an Asus NVIDIA GeForce, something like this. Now, I know this is a little bit pricey for a lot of people, but trust me, it pays off, and it does. It pays off. So look at all the specs on it, blah, blah, blah. How many fins or pins, whatever. GPUs pretty much fit in any motherboard for the most part, any modern GPU. So you don't really have to worry about that, because they all have the same amount of pins, and there's more to it than that. But anyways, I digress. All right. So video cards, your case. There's a lot of different types of cases you can buy. And it's just, I don't know. I would say that you don't also be cheap on your case. So what is the case exactly? The case is going to be the part, has all these different screws and port areas where you can plug in, where you put the motherboard in there, and then from there, you can attach everything else to it, and that's where all your hard drives go, and all the cables come out of the back. But why would you want to use a case? Well, first of all, it's because it's going to allow or prevent dust and debris and stuff like that from getting into the computer, which you don't want, because all that stuff over time is going to build up, it's going to create heat, and it can cause malfunction or failure of your components. So getting a good case is a good idea. So yeah, I'm not going to go into cases too much here. That's a separate conversation. All right, and your power supply. Definitely do not be cheap on this one. I would say if you're spending less than $200 on a power supply, you're being cheap. But what exactly is the main requirement for a power supply? Okay, so right here, where it says wattage, even though that's actually it's incorrect. They shouldn't be calling it wattage, but that's for the regular person to understand that it's watts. So what is watts? Watts is the total amount of power that the power supply can output to the rest of the computer. 1,000 watts, I would say, is the absolute minimum you're going to want. You can go higher than that. I think I have a 1,200 watt on mine. It doesn't mean that the computer is using 1,200 watts. It means that's the amount that it can put out. So once again, we have another company right here. So Corsair, as an example, I would say this is probably a pretty good one. The nice thing about power supplies is that a lot of companies give really long warranties for them. So your power supply, nothing in the computer is going to work unless you have a power supply. And by the way, the reason I recommend buying a really good power supply is because it's going to put out, okay, this gets into a little bit of electrical engineering or electronics also, when it comes to a sine wave. Because what's happening is the computer is having alternating current being input to it, and then the power supply is converting that into DC current in a lot of ways. It has all different kinds of cords that come out of it, or cables. So you need to make sure that you have clean power. That's a quote unquote clean power coming out of the power supply going to the computer. If you have a cheap power supply, and I made the mistake once of buying a cheap one. It was like $40. It lasted about a month, and my computer wasn't working very well afterward. So get a very good one. Look up the reviews. Now, here's the thing. If you're on Passmark and you go to benchmarks, you'll notice that there is no power supply benchmark. Okay? Because you can't really do a benchmark on a power supply. Going back to the PC builder here. All right, going back. Okay, that was the power supply. All right, storage. This is a big one. Okay, so now it says hard drive or SSD. What's the difference? Well, a hard drive actually has like a CD in it. Okay. Now they're both hard drives technically, but a hard drive, an HDD, hard disk drive, has a little small CD inside of it that spins real fast. Actually, they have multiple layers of these different things inside of them, and they spin real fast. It's kind of like a record player. As a matter of fact, if you take one apart, which I have many times, it looks almost identical to a record player. So that's what a hard drive is here. Then we have our SSD. This is a solid state drive, which I'm not going to try and explain exactly how they work because it gets a little bit complicated. But those don't have any moving parts in them. They just use electronic components. Okay, so why are there different ones? Well, the SSDs are the newest form of them. The hard disk drives are that technology is 40 years old at least. But they still work and they're getting better and better and better. All right, so I'm going to go to an SSD first. And on Passmark, we can go to, once again, benchmarks, and we can go to hard drive benchmarks. Go to high end. And what you're going to find are these different brands of all these different hard drives. And I'm going to recommend, that's kind of hard to say. There's 3 different brands I recommend for this. So when you're looking at this, actually, I haven't looked at this in a while. This is a little bit different. 4,000 gigabytes? That's not possible. What? That's 4 terabytes. What?
It's always
Maybe
improving.
whatever. So, anyways, once again, we can go here and like, oh, look at this. This WD, which is Western Digital Black. Okay, 2,000 gigabytes, which is 2 terabytes. I'm not sure why they're calling it that. Anyways, $289. It's a top benchmark. That's probably a really good. I actually might want to buy one of those. All right. So when it comes to your storage, when it comes to stuff that's going to stay offline, so you turn the computer off and you turn it back on and all your files are still there, this is what a hard drive is for. So why would you want... Whoops, let me go back again. Sorry. Okay, so high-end... What the hell's going on? Anyways, so why would you want an SSD or why would you want an HDD? Hard disk drive or a solid state drive? A solid state. The thing about it is that you want, in order for your computer to start real fast, so you're not sitting there for it to start up for 20 minutes like old computers used to do. An SSD is where you put your operating system, like Windows 10, for example, or Windows 11. You upload your operating system to that, and then you basically don't put anything else on that drive except for the operating system. And then all of your storage for videos, movies, games, whatever, you put that on your disk drive. So we have different types of disk drives. Actually, that's the wrong screen. All right, so by the way, I have not been looking at any chat whatsoever. If anybody has anything to offer to this, I would be welcome to hearing it, or if you have any questions, that would also be wonderful.
Yeah, so Mischief Brew over on Rokfin, he did drop another source to check out as well. It's a PC Part Picker.
Okay, cool. I will have to go back and look at that. But for now, I'm just sharing my screen, giving an overview of what these components are. And this is actually a really fun thing to learn. It's going to be frustrating as hell at the beginning when you start to learn about it. But once you do, it's like learning how to like the first time I learned how to change my oil in my car, when I was like 14 or something like that. It was just a fascinating feeling to figure out, oh my God, this is really not that hard. It's a learning process. So anyways, I recommend using Passmark as the benchmark kind of level of figuring out if that component is actually worth buying versus and along with the price. Okay. So in a computer, I recommend having, and most computers nowadays, if you buy a gaming computer, they're going to come with an SSD. This is called your boot drive. Okay, it means you're booting up the computer. That's what the operating system is working with on the motherboard with the CMOS. So that's getting a little complicated. So your SSD, you don't have to have a very big one. You can have maybe, they're getting pretty good now. Like, holy crap, a 1 terabyte for $46?
Nice.
Damn. Wow. Okay. So
I'm getting in at a good time.
yeah. Right now, damn, I'm thinking about buying another computer or building another one. Holy crap. Samsung actually makes very, very good SSDs. That's actually what I have in my computer right now. And this is a 4 terabyte? Yeah, holy crap. A 4 terabyte SSD? Holy crap, that's a good deal. Wow. I'm going to have to consider that. Wow. All right. Well, as a matter of fact, if you just wanted to buy one SSD like that, you could. And just because they're 4 terabytes now. Holy crap. I have a I have a 512 megabyte. Sorry, gigabyte. So anyways, so we have these different types of SSDs you can buy, and these plug directly into the motherboard. They're a little bit different. So this one, for example, it's about the shape of, kind of the shape of like a graham cracker or a slice of bread or something. They're not super big. They're super thin. They're super light. But then there's other types here. Like, just go to Samsung. So this one, for example, plugs directly into the motherboard. There's no power cords required. Nothing like that. I've never used one of those, so I can't give you any examples of it. I know how they work. All right, going back. So we have, the hard drive. CPU coolers. I have a personal vengeance that I need to work out with the company because it leaked all over my computer and fucking pretty much ruined it. So there's two different types. Well, there's technically a third type, but I don't know if it's actually real. I just saw a video of someone that did a prototype on it. So anyways, so there's fan and heatsink. So this is literally just a small electric motor with something called a heatsink that attaches to the top of the CPU, and it pulls all of the heat out of the CPU in order to keep it cool. And by the way, that's what you want. Computers and electronics, for the most part, work very, very well in cold temperatures. Not freezing temperatures, but cool temperatures. Because heat is the enemy to electricity. And I kid you not when I say that, because I can give you a 45-hour lecture based on that. You do not want heat around electronics or anything electrical, because heat basically converts into electrical resistance. Electrical resistance causes higher current draw, and then all of a sudden the smoke starts to come out of your computer or whatever else. So getting a very good cooling system for a computer is critical. These right here are the fan and heatsink style. So it just means they're moving air from one point to another, and they are evacuating the air from the computer. Sorry, the heat from the computer. Okay, so there's different types here, and you have to make sure that it will actually fit around your CPU, because that's what it's designed for. The CPU and the GPU generate the most heat in the computer. Actually, yeah, absolutely. Those are the two things that generate heat. So making sure that your CPU is going to work for a long time is going to be dependent on if you have a very good cooling system. So I've used both. I actually prefer the air-cooled now, even though I have both now. So that was fan and heatsink. That's called air-cooled, essentially. And then we have water cooler. Okay, these are a little bit more expensive, but if you're looking at doing high-end gaming or video editing where you're going to have a whole bunch of stuff going crazy at the same time, and the CPU is going to be overworked, or you're going to overclock your computer, you pretty much need one of these. The problem is, as the title says, it says water cooler. It's literally the same exact thing as a radiator for a car. So it has actual liquid in the computer that's being pumped through these tubes in a circular motion, which is used in conjunction with a fan to cool down the CPU. So if you're going to overclock, you pretty much need one of these. Even though some of the air cooling products also say, oh yeah, it'll work for overclocking, but I wouldn't trust that. So if you're going to overclock, then you're going to need one of these. But like I said, I had one of these, it failed on me, and the reason I found out it failed was because it started leaking the water, and it fucked up my computer. But my other computer in my bedroom has one of those, no issues at all. And I built my data computer with a liquid cooler, no issues at all. So
Have you seen those? Builds that they just submerge the entire setup in this clear gel-like substance?
no, never heard of that.
Oh man, I got to. I'm gonna have to try to find a video of that while you're doing your thing here, because that thing looks really cool. Some of the builds that I've seen for that.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. So the different brands of these liquid coolers are, it's up to debate. I'm not going to recommend any brand at all. I'll go back. So once again, there's the fan and heatsink. That's basically air cooling. And then we have the water cooling kit. It's up to you what you want. It depends on the purpose of why you want a good PC, what the purpose of you're going to be using it for. All right, so then we go to an operating system. This is pretty basic. Now, here's the thing, is if I go to my computer right now, I go to my system properties, and it asks me, like, oh, can you click on this little button to check if my computer is capable of upgrading to Windows 11. Apparently, Windows says my computer, which is about 6 years old, roughly, is not compatible for Windows 11. I have no idea why. I think it might have to do with the motherboard, but I don't really care because Windows 10 works just fine. If you're going to buy an operating system, a Windows operating system, do not buy this bullshit. Do not buy anything that says 32-bit. That is fucking stupid. Never, ever get 32-bit. Get 64-bit. It's the fastest. That's how... I don't want to get into all the details between 32 and 64-bit. So when we first started off with computers, I think they were really, really slow, like 8-bit, like Nintendo. Actually, I think they were slower than that. So like Nintendo was 8-bit graphics, like the original Nintendo, with Mario Brothers and stuff. So that was 8-bit. Then it sped up, doubled to 16-bit. But technically, I'm not going to get into all the details about that. It's going to get too complicated. Anyway, 64-bit is substantially faster and more efficient than 32-bit. So if you're going to buy an operating system, make sure you get a 64-bit operating system, because it also works based on how... anyways. All right, so going back again as a little bit of a recap, because I'm about done with my explanation aside from actually building it for you, which I'd be happy to do. But so you have all these different components here. Okay. And then what you can actually do is, so they actually have pre-built computers you can buy. Not a bad idea. However, they're going to charge you an extra fee for building it. Plus, they're going to mark up the products. So you're going to spend more on the PC, and you're also going to have it sent to you. It's going to be completely built in a case, which I don't really trust, the UPS and whatever very much, because I've had a lot of stuff delivered that was damaged. So if you're going to do it, I would recommend building it yourself. It's a learning process, and I just completely go that way. But yeah, you can also just go to, for example, where's it at?
Well, I definitely agree that building the computer yourself is definitely going to give you a much better understanding of what's going on every time you boot that thing up.
Yeah, it's like learning how to work on a car. Except your car is probably more important than the computer, because it costs a hell of a lot more. But actually, you can make a computer cost easily as much as a luxury car. But that's kind of stupid. Okay, so once again, going back to this part of Newegg, PC Builder, building your own custom PC starts here. All right, so what do you want? You want to build entry-level, mainstream, or enthusiast? So let's just go ahead. Oh, there's this little orange button that says View Pre-Built. So this is going to be mainstream pre-built computers.
Okay,
Okay,
I've
so
seen
these
that one.
are... Huh?
I said I've seen that one.
Okay. So this one, operating system, Windows 10. It's got an i7. Pretty good. That's what I have. GeForce. Oh, crap. That's nice. Chipset. Very good. Only 16 gigs of RAM, though, which is fine. SSD. All right. So, yeah, it takes a little bit of experience to understand what all this stuff actually means. It's not very hard, but that's actually a pretty decent computer. The only thing I would recommend would be to upgrade the RAM. to probably 32. And then maybe even the power supply from 700 maybe to more. But still a pretty decent computer. Now, the nice thing about buying a computer like this is that when you're first doing it, you're going to find out that, oh my God, all these cables and all these cords, they're way longer than I need them to be, or they're not long enough. Or so it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to figure out how exactly to do cable management inside of a computer. And that's actually kind of important to do properly because it allows airflow to be unrestricted rather than having like a rat's nest just all over the place, like a whole bunch of loose spaghetti inside the computer. Because like I said before, your computer has to have a nice amount of air cooling to it, or cooling, because as soon as it starts to overheat, the motherboard actually has a default setting to it. If it overheats to a certain point, it will shut off to prevent it from like catching on fire or melting. And most of that default setting temperature is around 90 centigrade. I'm not sure, or Celsius, whatever, which is about 195 degrees or something like that. So the computer will shut off around that point. So having that air cooling is very, very important. So if you're doing it by yourself, you're going to find that you're not going to be able to make it as neat as what is on the screen right now. So there's pros and cons because the people that build these computers, they know exactly how to do them. They do them all day long. If you do it by yourself, hey, it's not a big deal, but you can learn how to do it properly. It just takes zip ties and a little bit of patience. But it's real fun too, especially if you have friends or kids. Hey, do it together.
I love how you threw in the zip ties. I was surprised I didn't hear duct tape.
No, I would not recommend. Did you ever see that show? It was a Canadian show that was on TV a long time ago. It was called The Red Green Show.
I have not.
All right, so it's a comedy show, and there's this guy who lives out in the wilderness, and I think his name is called Red or something like that. Anyways, he wears suspenders, and one's red, one's green, and he would use duct tape in every single episode, and he would do it for like just showing you like the weird ways you can use duct tape. For example, one of the episodes, he cut a hole in the side of his van because his air conditioner failed, and he attached a refrigerator to it with duct tape. So, anyways, you'd have to watch it to understand.
That's hilarious.
All right, so here's the part where I would love to have you ask some questions.
Okay. So, I'm gonna have to formulate the good questions. Of course, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch the video because you gave me a lot you gave me a lot to unpack, even though it was just the basics. Um, but you did do a good job of covering like how to select the different stuff. I would say the best question I have right now would be for somebody that's doing exactly what I'm doing. Um, what would you recommend as far as like just the overall best setup?
Okay, well, it's really depending upon two factors. Are you willing to learn how to do it on your own? And do you want to? Or would you rather just have one pre-built for you, which isn't a bad idea because a lot of people have done that. Like, for example, Austin Whitsitt, Sean Hibbler, Jaron, they all had computers that were sent to them. And I think Bob is the one that built most of them, if not all of them. and then they were sent through the mail to those people, and their computers seemed to work. So I, unfortunately, sent a computer from Virginia to California one time. When I got to California, the computer was damaged to the point where I pretty much couldn't even use it anymore. And I couldn't do anything about it because I did not insure the package. But if you buy a pre-built computer, that's just fine. The problem that you're going to have with a pre-built computer is that you may not have the exact specs you want. Now, we can go to, okay, enthusiast, pre-built. Okay, so we can get a lot more complicated for something like this. This is $3,200. Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question or not. The 16 core, 32 gigs. Okay, DDR. Oh, that's good. GeForce 48. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is like top end. Like for what you can buy for, you could do anything with this computer. You can probably stream on 15 different websites at the same time with this, as long as your internet connection is good.
Gotcha. So it's not like
So
it's not like one setup's good for basically it's just how heavy the burden is going to be on the computer in general. It's not like the burden's going to be different for different things, like if you're gaming with it versus if you're streaming with it.
yeah, I've never tested the difference between gaming and streaming because I don't really game anymore. I mean, I play a game every once in a while, but mostly it's just chess, so I can't compare that to gaming. But back in the day, I was a fucking super nerd and played World of Warcraft, and I realized that I needed a good computer for it. So I actually upgraded my computer and built one specifically to play that game, while I was also listening to music and doing other crap at the same time. So your computer is going to just be based on what you're going to use it for. You have to think about that.
Let me see if I
And
can let me see if I can share my screen. I actually just found the mineral oil. That's what it's called. It's called a mineral oil submerged PC. These things look absolutely crazy.
should I stop sharing?
Um, just give me 1 second. I think I can just. Oh, let me go back in here. Oh, there's mine. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and switch them. So, boom, boom. Hopefully this works. Of course, it's already getting slow as hell. Amazing. All right, perfect. Let me go ahead and play this video.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Jack and Matt here with the Toasty Bros, and today we are building the first Windows 11 Mineral PC.
We're kind of feeding off our most popular video on the channel, the first Windows 10 Mineral PC, and the fact
Skip ahead. We don't
particularly
need
an
to listen to
acrylic
that.
tank. We'll leave a link to the description.
I have a challenge for all of you. Go to every computer in your house, your mom's, your dad's,
I don't
your sister's,
pay
your
for
brother's
YouTube,
computer, and
so
install Honey.
you're gonna slap me with these
The
Mr. Beast
description
commercials.
down below. It is something we bought off of eBay. It is a very popular tank and is one we've used
Because we've done 4 Mineral PCs
Oh my goodness,
now,
get to
and
it.
I don't think craft very well. We're not overheating. Looks like the computer's been running now for like
That's
over
crazy.
an hour downloading stuff. Typically, that's what mineral oil is going to do. Is it really takes on the ambient temperature, which our office. Do this.
All right, gamers, look at that.
Oh,
It's all lubed up. It's working, as you can
that
tell.
was that. That was terrifying to do because I remember back when Matt and I first
it's not
did
showing
these,
up on the
we did
thing.
not use like nice mineral oil. We just used, you know, like basically baby oil and stuff like that, which has fragrance in it. And it seemed like it was a lot thicker. This stuff just feels, it feels very thin. It was very viscous, and I was like, am I just gonna electrocute myself and like blow this
Andrew,
up?
are you
But,
still there, bud?
it's working.
But yeah, what we're gonna do now is prove that it actually works by playing some games on it or something.
Having some connection issues. Oh no. But yeah, so basically this right here is this is a mineral oil PC. You can see it's completely submerged. It's super dope. I guess that's mineral oil there. And I'm guessing that that helps keep everything nice and cool.
That's very interesting because, as an electrician, one of the things that we have to do is work around transformers, and there's two different types of transformers. There's a dry type and a wet type. The wet type of transformer looks very similar to that. Just has a bunch of electrical coils inside of it. You submerge it in oil. There's mineral and synthetic types. But I've never seen a moving part submerged in oil before. Like the fan. Is the fan submerged in oil?
Yeah.
The entire thing?
The entire thing. I was trying to play a video of it actually going, but when I go to the screen, it takes this off and you can't really see it. Let me see if I can go back just for a second. To the there we go.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Why would they have a fan inside of some oil? The fan is supposed to move air from one point to another, not oil.
Yeah, so let me see if I can click it here. It's not letting me play the video. Hold on. There we go. Shout out to whatever creator made this song, by the way.
Do this.
All right, gamers, look at that.
Oh,
It's all lubed up. It's working, as you can tell.
That was terrifying to do because I remember back when Matt and I first did these, we did not use like nice mineral oil. We just used, you know, like basically baby oil and stuff like that, which has fragrance in it. And it seemed like it was a lot thicker. This stuff just feels, it feels very thin. It was very viscous, and I was like, am I just gonna electrocute myself and like blow this up? But
So there you have it. Yeah, I'd like for somebody who actually knows about computers to actually look into that and see what you think. Because that thing's super sick. That might be the future. But what do I know? I don't know diddly.
Yeah, I would have to see that thing actually work.
Well,
I
they
wanna see
were.
the
They in this
power
video.
output of it and power input.
There's so if you Google it, you can find tons of videos
I
of
think
people making
you're
these.
cutting out pretty bad.
Hold on a second. Let me stop sharing. Pull your screen back up here. How is it now for you?
Seems better.
So they so in that video, and that's not the only one like it, but they actually they are apparently using it. And there's tons of videos of people making them. So I'd definitely check that out, look into it. Who knows? It might be something really, really cool.
Oh yeah, I'm always willing to learn something new, and I just don't see the point of putting a fan inside of some oil. It doesn't make sense.
Aesthetic. I don't
So,
know.
well, the nice thing about oil, and the reason they put oil inside of transformers. So if you walk out on the street and you see a telephone pole and it's got this big looking like soda can on it, they're usually painted white or like a light gray. Looks like R2D2 in a sense, and it has some wires coming out of it. That is a transformer, and it has liquid inside of it. And that liquid is going to be based on the company. It's going to be mineral or synthetic. So oil is really, really good to use as a dielectric resistor when it comes to electricity. I just don't know if it'd be good to put on the components of a computer, though. That's just weird. I'm not sure how long that would last, but it's a very interesting concept.
Yeah, that was my worry about it, is that my friend Tyler showed me that. He literally just showed, he didn't give me any explanation. He didn't let me see the title. I just seen some people pouring this liquid in over the computer components, and I was like, why would they do that? And next thing you know, they're like gaming on it and whatnot. I'm like, what the hell?
All right, well. Oh my God, what did I just do? I just ordered. I didn't order it. What the hell? Almost $10,000 in my cart? What the fuck? No.
Dang, you just been adding everything,
No, go
huh?
back. Go back.
Well, the good news is that it's not over. It sounds like I can get it in under $3,000, and that's great because that should be doable within the next month or two, if all goes right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 3,000 is a very, very nice price for a very, very long-lasting computer.
And then you guys will know how much of it is the equipment and how much of it is me. But
Well,
on my error, it will improve with time, of course.
the other thing you have to think about, I mean, the tower is the most important part, but then there's all the peripherals, which are like, do you have a good mouse? Because a mouse for me, like, I'm real picky when it comes to that. And getting a good one cost me about $100. And then your keyboard. Do you have a good keyboard? And, 80, $90 for a keyboard. And then a monitor. I always get pretty good ones. So you're going to spend probably 500 to 600 at least on a monitor. And then, like if you want speakers, a webcam, microphones, because that's all the stuff that the computer needs that you're currently using on a laptop, but it needs to be peripheral to the tower that you're building.
Andrew B, I'm
So,
gonna go ahead and shout you out, man. Thank you so much for the $20 tip. That's going right. That's
hey,
going
my
right
pleasure.
to the build, man. For those of you who may be joining late, that's actually what this whole stream is for. I'm just letting everybody know what all the love, all the donations, everything, all the support that you guys have been giving me. It's going towards growing the show, making a better production, and the core of that is going to be the hardware. I believe that's what it's called. The hardware that I'm using. So I definitely appreciate it.
Yes,
Mischief.
hardware is something you can touch and pick up.
Right.
Software is something that is digital.
I thought so. It makes sense. Mischief Brew is saying he can out nerd you. That's so funny. I love
Dude,
I
I would
love it.
fucking hope so. I would fucking love that. Out nerd me all the way, man.
For sure. It's all love. It's all love.
Oh yeah, not as an insult, but you know what? Challenge me. Let's go to it.
Right? Yeah. By the way, Mischief Brew, of course, you're always welcome. You're always welcome on the show. I see you in the comments all the time. I'm finally getting it to where I can start accepting guests and stuff. So, if you do want to be a guest on the show, feel free to get at me on the Telegram. I believe it's t.me/Troubling Tribune. But if that's not it, just go to Telegram and search me, and you should be able to find it. And yeah, I'm definitely open to that. I'm now actually looking for a another opponent for the True Earth 1v1 debate to keep things going, keep things rolling, just in case my TikTok decides to get shut down, because that typically happens to the popular flat earthers over there.
All right, so I'm just noticing this on Newegg. I'm not sure if my screen is being shared still or not.
Yep.
But curved monitors, a 32-inch curved monitor. Like, that's gigabyte. That's not bad. 32-inch Samsung, even better. These are fucking cheap. What happened? I've got a 27-inch monitor. I spent $700 on. Holy crap. So, anyways, this is something else to look at. All right. But what I was actually trying to get to was, so when you go to Newegg, you go to the little computer systems, components, and storage. Well, there's this little part here that says peripherals. This is everything that plugs into the computer. So here, just all the monitors. And I was just looking at the curved monitors. And then if you want a printer, which I have, keyboards, mice, blah, 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 blah. So you have to take this into account when it comes to your secondary costs to the computer. So in total, 3,000 to 4,000 will give you a very nice setup.
Yeah, it's looking like it's getting close to top of the line with the price drops. That's awesome. Might even be able to get it done for like 2,000 or less.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of jealous right now because I spent a fuckload more for something that's not even as good. Oh my god.
Well, I guess inflation hasn't destroyed everything. So I am very grateful.
Yeah, well, right now is the time to do this if you can. So if anybody's looking to actually build a PC, like I was shown before on Passmark, when Jaren had that video card donated to him, CPU benchmarks, high end. Oh, whoops, I said video card. I think he had the 38 or 3080 Ti or the 3090 Ti, something like that. And it was between, it was like about $3,000 for one of those. And someone just gave him one.
That's incredible.
The price now, shit, $1,100. And the cool thing about building a PC versus a laptop is that, like right now, if I wanted to buy one of those, I can take out my video card, throw it in the trash, and put one of those in. It'll fit. And if I want to take out my RAM and upgrade it, then I can do that. You can a little bit with a laptop with RAM, but your video card, no, you can't really do that, as far as I know. So
Sorry, I'm just
Um,
I'm reading. I was in the comments reading, just making sure I'm staying on top of everything. I do want to do a quick little shout out to everybody who is participating. I definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. Over here on the Rokfin side, we got Mischief Brew. Uh, of course, we got Andrew B. And looks like that is it for the Rokfin side. It says there's 5 people in there, but only 2 commenting. That's totally cool. Let's go ahead and get over here. YouTube's a little bit more popping. We got Doug Maurer, Mad Mac, Admiral Dickie Bird, Matthew Shits. I love that name. Just Josh R35, Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind, Timothy P. Southwick. Appreciate all you guys tuning in, helping make the show what it is. And we're actually gearing up here to go ahead and close things out here in just a minute. Andrew, I
Yep.
really appreciate you coming on, man. Did you have anything else you wanted to go over?
Not for the moment, except for one last thing about computers. This is an investment. Okay, this is something that is going to be used for, like, for me. If I didn't have a computer, like a really good one, because I teach 2 days a week online. If I didn't have a good one, that would basically force me to hack to do something else. So this is a tool. It's an investment. It's worth getting a good one for. And sometimes you have to just go through it and learn how it works, spend the money on it, but it's a life experience. And if you're going to build a computer, build it for a gaming computer, because gaming computers are the top of the line. If you build it towards gaming, you can't go wrong. It doesn't matter if you're going to game or not. Playing World of Warcraft or whatever these other games are, build it for gaming and you will not be disappointed.
That makes total sense. If your game can if your computer can handle all the RAM that it takes to run a game and the like, then it can pretty much handle anything.
Yeah, but aside from that, I think we're getting to that point, and I would love to come on to your stream one day to debate one of these fucking globies, because I got so much shit I can rip them apart with. But anyways, aside from that, I will let you conclude your stream.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on. I will definitely have you on for one of the True Earth debates, whether it be a 1v1 or a panel. It doesn't really matter. I'm trying to get it all worked out to where the people will actually come on the YouTube, but it just takes a little bit of time to get everything straightened out. So I use TikTok as the primary base just because it has a massive customer base. So when I go live on there, I'll get sometimes I'll get up to 500 people just all in one time, which I know that can be done over here, but I got to grow it a little bit more. So that's why I do appreciate everybody tuning in. That's why I like to shout everybody out. Something I picked up from the Mellow Dome. I think it's a great habit. So definitely show the love to all the people that want to come out and help make it possible. Let me see if there's anything else here. As for the show times, as usual, we have for Monday night, we're going to be doing the Tribune show. We're going to be testing various things. We just got through testing perception, which we just got through testing the surface of. I think for next Monday, we're going to dive right into purely religion. I think I'm going to go into the Bible specifically, and we're going to go ahead and test out the consistency of the Holy Scriptures, which will be really fun. A lot of people have really, really strong opinions on that subject, so I do ask that if you do tune in, that you put your critical thinking cap on, you suspend your biases, and we actually go through together and look at the information and see what we can come up with. And yeah, that's always been a really fun subject. And what else? Tuesday, TikTok. Come tune in live for the True Earth debates. Let me go ahead and stop sharing that screen. Let's get back to the main. Boom, there we are. Back in action. But yeah, on Tuesday, we are going to go ahead and get back to the True Earth debates. This will be number 10. Number 9, unfortunately, will never see the light because it got community struck. So, sorry, guys. That's why you got to tune in live over there. Sometimes let the Chinese steal just a little bit of your data. If you're really worried about it, just get yourself a burner phone. Whatever. Do what you got to do. In any case, if all goes right with that, we will go ahead and do a live watch party on Wednesday. If, for whatever reason, something goes wrong and I can't get it up, we're going to go ahead and attempt to do another 1v1 or a panel, however many people I can get in. So if you would like to be a part of the True Earth debate, go ahead and reach out to me over on the Telegram. That's t.me/Troubling Tribune, or you can just search me on the Telegram. Not sure which one it is. I don't have the link pulled up in front of me, or I'd go ahead and post that in the chat. But got to make you work for it just a little bit, I suppose. I do appreciate everybody for tuning in, all the donations, all the love that you guys send to help build this show. Now you know what it is going to be going towards. I'm going to be here within the next week actually pulling up some specific equipment out and pulling the price points out so that we know just where we're at, how far we have to go, and that way we know when we can expect to see this new computer setup. So I definitely appreciate it. If I seem like I've been a little tired lately, it's because I've been working a lot extra. Usually I only work like 6 to 8 hours, but I've been doing, I can't even calculate it right now. Another one of those days. I pretty much went in, I got home maybe an hour before kicking off the stream, but you got to do what you got to do to support your family. So again, I definitely appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks again. Let me take one last look at the chat, see if anything's new. I just wanted to keep it short and sweet today. I want to go ahead and catch the Flat Earth debate over on Modern Day. Our boy Witsit is out there crushing it, if you didn't know. So go ahead and check that out after this if you have not done so already. That is where I will be. Let me go ahead and see. Doesn't look like we got anything new on the YouTube. Let's go over to the Rokfin. Mischief Brew, wow. Hey, we appreciate you, man. $10 tip over on the Rokfin. That is absolutely huge. Andrew B, Mischief Brew, thank you guys so much for helping make this show. Then AMD is the way to go. See above ability upgrade. We're going to have a conversation also, Mischief Brew. I'd love to get your opinions on some of this stuff. Get at me. Definitely get at me. But yeah, with that, let us go ahead. Go ahead, Andrew.
Can I just conclude with one thing? I am not like a computer expert. I know how to build them. I know how to work on them and troubleshoot them, but I'm not an absolute expert when it comes to this. So everyone has a different type of input to it. So if someone is going to say that they have some other type of information to add to it, I would love to hear it. I'm not going to be resistant to learning new things. So I think that's the way that everybody should be with a lot of different things in this regards to computers, because there's always something new to learn. And if other people want to learn more about it, maybe we can do a stream about it again if you want. I can go more in detail if you want.
Absolutely. Today was just kind of the crash course, and I kind of had you do that just because I am completely computer illiterate. So today was really, really great. It helped me understand a lot of like how this actually works and what actually, it all of course needs to be good, but specifically what's letting me down when everything's going choppy and things like that. I just really appreciate the knowledge, and when I do undertake this, I am going to build it myself. Now, what parts I'm going to use, obviously still up for debate. But I definitely intend to build it myself at least. That way I can get even more hands-on experience with it. But yeah, with really any subject, if I have multiple people that are interested in it, I'm gonna formulate a panel, and we can go ahead and have a show on it. I don't see why not. And as they say, if you build it, they will come. So I'm definitely open to doing this again and going into more detail now that I have a better grasp on everything that's going on. I did decide to keep the stream short tonight. Usually I'll go a little bit longer, but I promised my lady that I would go ahead and end it around 11. So it is getting about that time. I'm going to go ahead and close out with some music. Andrew B., thanks once again for coming on the show. Last chance, any last words?
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Look forward to speaking with you again, brother. Go ahead and get at me on the Telegram so we can set up a True Earth debate and get you an opponent. And yeah, with that, let's go ahead and close out. Where the heck is it? I'm going to leave this stream free on the Rokfin and the YouTube because I think it's important that everybody knows exactly what they're fighting for, what they're building over here. So let's go ahead and where the heck is it? There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and let the outro play. Let some music play, and I will see you guys next time. We're probably going to be doing our next stream on Monday, so I will see you then, and I'll see you in the chats. Until then. Peace, everybody.